The president's authority to push through trade negotiations without congressional approval will expire at the end of June, so-called fast-track authority. The president wants it renewed, but a group of Democratic senators now say they will oppose such an extension. One of the senators joins us here tonight. He is Senator Byron Dorgan, Democrat of North Dakota. Senator, good to have you here.
Hi, Lou. Good to be with you again.
Let me ask you, Senator Max Baucus, holding forth in an op-ed piece saying he absolutely thinks you've got to go ahead with fast-track authority. What in the world, after 30 consecutive years of trade deficits, under this so-called fast-track authority, what makes Senator Baucus or anybody else think that this makes any sense at all?
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's almost as if facts don't matter. We are drowning in trade debt, shipping American jobs overseas, putting downward pressure on American wages. It's unbelievable to me. I mean, this has been such a spectacular failure. I'm going to try very hard to stop fast track here in the Senate. I didn't believe Bill Clinton should have gotten it. He didn't. I don't believe that the current president should have fast track. And we ought to take this trade system back in a way that says we insist and demand that we stand up for this country's economic interests and for this country's jobs for a change.
You wrote a letter to President Bush, co-signed by 6 senators.
Yes.
That joined you in that letter. Do you think you have enough support? Do you think you will have to stop this? The president, as you know, is already aggressively campaigning for this because this president thinks free trade is somehow approximates a reasonable public policy despite $5 trillion in trade debt and record deficit upon record deficit.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You know, the last trade agreement, another bad one called CAFTA, Central American Free Trade Agreement, that passed the Senate by 55-45. Since then, we've gotten about 6 or 8 new Democratic senators, most of whom I believe will vote against these trade agreements and vote against fast track. If that's the case, we'll stop fast track here in the Senate.
Do you think there will be an actual debate of the facts? Because the idea that the United States Senate, this president, I mean, I frankly, on economic policies, certainly, I've literally given up on this president in terms of, in his administration. Looking at the facts and dealing with them straightforwardly and honestly in trade practices and trade policies. As I said, 30 consecutive years of trade deficits, as you point out, mounting trade debt. How in the world do we proceed here? And the Constitution, by the way, that little thing called the Constitution, does lay the responsibility for these agreements on the legislative, not the executive.
Absolutely. Trade belongs to the legislature according to the Constitution. But, you know, I don't know what would persuade someone to think there is failure if $800 billion a year doesn't persuade us. It's just... It is just almost devoid of fact. It's sloganeering, fast track, fast track. I'm for trade and plenty of it, but I darn well insist to be fair to this country for a change. And let me make one other point.
Sure.
Wages and salaries are what American workers get for their income. It's the lowest percent of GDP since they started keeping score in 1947. Corporate profits, highest level ever. I mean, that tells you the story, it seems to me.
And it certainly tells you one of the reasons that this Senate and this House should be taking a very hard look at what is going on, and one would hope they will. I am a person who is obviously an optimist, but I've also got to be shown. I hope that the leadership of both houses will make certain that happens. I know you're going to do your part, Senator Dorgan. Let's talk about the vote just now on the resolution on the president's conduct of this war. Your thoughts?
Well, there was a filibuster this afternoon, just about a half an hour ago, and so we didn't get the votes for the motion to proceed. But this is a very simple proposition. On a bipartisan basis, Senator Warner, Senator Levin have a resolution that says we don't support deepening our involvement in Iraq.
Right.
You know, General Abizaid 2 months ago came to the Congress, said I called every commander in Iraq and said, should we bring additional troops? They all said no. Why? Because they said if we do it, the Iraqis will feel they don't have to do it. But this is their country, not ours. Saddam Hussein was executed. They have a constitution. They have a government. They voted for. Now will they provide for their security? Because our soldiers can't do that for any length of time.
Well, let me ask you, Senator, is there any expectations that, because after all, Iraq was one of the, if not the principal issue by which Congress changed control and the Democrats were given an opportunity, is the Democratic Party saying here that in the Senate that there will be no debate on the public policy options in Iraq and the Middle East, nor a discussion and debate, full debate, on the consequences of those policies taken?
No, we're trying to get the debate. It's the Republican caucus today that voted in unison to prevent the debate. One more point, if I might.
You bet.
Negroponte, the head intelligence guy in this country, testified 2 weeks ago, said the greatest threat to this country, the greatest terrorist threat is Al-Qaeda, and it is in a secure hideaway. Their leadership is in a secure hideaway. Those are quotes in Pakistan. If that's the case, if that's the greatest threat, and we have 21,000 soldiers to be able to be deployed somewhere, why not go after and eliminate the leadership of Al-Qaeda if they're the greatest terrorist threat to our country? That's what we ought to be doing, in my judgment.
It certainly would seem to be the priority, but then again, a lot of people have forgotten the name Osama bin Laden as well.
Well, Osama been forgotten these days, you know.
Exactly.
He's still talking to us from a secure hideaway,
right,
according to our intelligence chief. Let's go eliminate the greatest threat to this country, and that's the leadership of Al-Qaeda.
Senator Byron Dorgan, we thank you very much for being with us. As always, good to talk with you.
Thanks, Lou. Good to talk.